Imagine you and your family are driving down the road, and up ahead you see a car that's kind of swerving on the road, kind of veering over center, and you wonder to yourself, is this person drunk? Then all of a sudden, the car swerves over center one more time and hits an oncoming car, causing that car to spin out of control and into your lane of traffic. And another car collides with that car at a combined speed of approximately 100 miles per hour. Both cars are thrown off the side of the road, and the passengers of that oncoming car are both killed. This is what happened to 19-year-old Reggie Shaw in 2006. He thought that he was a good driver. He thought that he could text and drive and nothing bad would happen. He was the driver of the vehicle that was swerving and careening all over the road and crossed the center line, causing the accident and the death of the two gentlemen of that oncoming car. He has to live the rest of his life with the fact that he is responsible for the death of those two men. I'm here today to tell you about why you should not text and drive. I will cover the states, some statistics, and the reduced reaction times caused by texting. I will also tell a couple brief stories about some texting and driving victims. Now, according to Wikipedia, the definition of texting and driving is the act of composing, sending, or reading text messages, email, or making other similar uses of the internet on a mobile device while operating a motor vehicle, such as an automobile, a truck, or a train. As texting and driving is becoming a bigger and bigger issue, more and more states are taking action by trying to pass laws. As of today in the United States, 30 states, Washington, D.C., and Guam all have bans for texting for all drivers. 11 of these states passed laws in 2010. There are an additional 8 states that prohibit texting by novice drivers. Last year, the federal government passed a ban for all federal employees that when they were driving a government vehicle that they were banned from texting. Also, they passed that if they were in their own personal vehicles, they could not text while they were on official government business. The problem with all these laws and rules is that they haven't decreased the amount of accidents due to texting and driving. According to the Highway Loss Data Institute, they hypothesized that the drivers texting might be keeping their phones low or out of sight, and this might increase the risk of texting by taking drivers' eyes further from the road and for a longer period of time. This leads us to talk about some of the statistics associated with texting and driving. 80% of accidents and 65% of near crashes are caused from texting while driving. According to Buzzle.com, 81% of the U.S. population admits to resorting to texting while driving at some point or another. I, unfortunately, have also been guilty of this, but I will not do it ever again. Individuals involved with texting are 23% more likely to be involved in an accident than those that follow the rules of the road and don't text. Texting statistics have shown that texting and driving is more dangerous than drinking and driving. If you're drinking and driving, you are only 4 times more likely to be involved in a car accident. But if you're texting and driving, you are now 8 times more likely to be in an accident. How many of you guys have seen 7 Pounds with Will Smith? In that movie, Will Smith's character, in the end, commits suicide so that he can donate his organs to help the lives of 7 people in order to make up for the lives of the 7 people that he killed while he was texting and driving. Unfortunately, texting and driving accidents are not restricted to road transportation only. On September 12, 2008, there was a train collision in Chatsworth, Louisiana that resulted in the death of as many as 25 passengers on the train. The investigation showed that the engineer had been distracted because he was text messaging. Those are just some of the very many statistics of texting and driving. Now think about this. You're in a car. Somebody asks you to close your eyes for 5 seconds. So everybody close their eyes for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now can you imagine doing that while you're driving down the road at 60 miles per hour? Me neither. You'd probably think that I was crazy if I asked you to do that. But now if I asked you to read a text message while you're driving, a lot of people would do that. Most drivers spend 5 seconds looking at a mobile device while texting. That's enough time at typical highway speeds to cover an area, more area than the length of an average football field. And keep in mind, an accident can happen in 2 to 3 seconds when you're texting and driving. When you're texting and driving, your reaction time is much lower than that of a drunk driver. An unimpaired person can respond to an emergency in half a second and begin to brake. Those drivers that are legally drunk, they need an additional 4 feet before they can begin braking. But those people that are texting and driving, they need 70 additional feet in order to begin braking. In 2009, Car and Driver magazine editor Eddie Alterman participated in an experiment that took place in a deserted airstrip. It showed that texting and driving had a greater impact on safety than drinking and driving. The problem with this test was that there were several limitations. They were on a straight road. They didn't have any traffic signs or any traffic or any pedestrians. And they only were looking at the reaction times. Now they did this test at 2 different speeds. At 35 miles per hour, Mr. Alterman, when he was impaired or drunk, it took him an additional 7 feet to respond. While he was reading a text, it took him an additional 45 feet in order to brake. But while he was composing a text message, it took him 41 feet. Now at 70 miles per hour, the same test, impaired, it took him an additional 4 feet. While reading a text message, it took him an additional 36 feet. Now this time, while texting, we'll come back to that 70 additional feet in order to begin to brake. Now, what about some of the victims? In the process of researching for this speech, I came across an infomercial that AT&T did last year. It talked about some of the accidents caused by texting and driving. The infomercial is called The Last Text. If you get a chance, take a look at it because it's very, very informative. In it, there was a young girl. It was the day before her graduation, and she decided that she was going to go and see a friend of hers baseball game. She didn't know where he was, so she and he were texting back and forth. They were she was trying to figure out where he was, and in the process of typing this message, she swerved off the road and into the median and was killed. Now, there's another gentleman, a 17-year-old young man, driving down the road with his girlfriend. He's texting on the phone, having a decent day. All of a sudden, he's typing a message and his girlfriend screams. He looks up in time to see a bicyclist slam into the front of his car and hit his window. That bicyclist was killed because he was typing this message. And last but not least, this young man, he wasn't the driver of the car. He was a passenger. He and his friend were going to a movie. His friend was texting while he was driving. The car collided with a tree, causing the passenger's head to slam into the side of the car. At the scene of the accident, the passenger was declared dead 3 times before they got him to the hospital. He survived, but he is severely handicapped and his life will never be the same because of this text message. AT&T is trying to get out the message that texting and driving is not a good idea, and this is their new slogan: texting and driving, it can wait. And it can, because there's nothing that is so important. Even though it's been proved time and time again that texting and driving can result in disasters, many of us probably aren't ready to mend our ways. I covered the states are trying to crack down on this dangerous practice by passing laws, but the laws aren't going to be enough to make a complete difference. Everybody needs to be educated about this. The statistics in reduced reaction times show just how dangerous it can be to text and drive. But the victims, put yourself in the shoes of the survivors, whether it's the family of those that were killed or the people that caused the accident and survived. Their stories should haunt you and make you think twice before you pick up that phone while you're driving. Is it really so important to answer that phone or text message while you're driving? Is your life worth it? Is the life of your family? Is the life of your children? Is it worth it? You may feel like you're a good driver and that you can multitask while you're driving, but remember, it only takes 3 to 5 seconds of looking away from the road to completely change your life and the life of someone else. Is that call or message really so important that the death or incapacitation of someone or the heartache that your family will have to go through if you're killed, is it really worth it?